And now, News 25's 25 teams in 25 days with Jeff Haeger.
The last day of July and the first day of News 25's 25 teams in 25 days, albeit a couple weeks behind schedule. You know, when Blake Pennick took the head coaching job here at Ocean Springs, he had no idea his first opponent would be against a global pandemic. Of course, no one did. And yet here we are just over a month away from the Greyhounds season opener.
Hey, work on one time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a trying time. If somebody would have told me that back in December, I would have, would have questioned it. I'd never even heard of a pandemic until now, but we're just rolling with it, doing the best we can, adjusting on the fly, and trying to make do and get ready for a season.
Starting the season as late as September 4th at Moss Point, certainly better than the alternative of not having a season at all.
We were all super excited about it, and I mean, there probably was a spot in the back of all our minds thinking we weren't going to have it, but to know we start on that day, it's special. We're excited.
We just got lucky that we can play. I mean, things happen in this world. You just got to fight through it, you know. And I'm just very glad we get to play. And I don't know what I would do without football. I mean, I've been playing since I was little, and I don't know what I would do if I couldn't play football for a year.
Social distancing on the sidelines, wearing a mask to team meetings, and disinfecting footballs during and after practice, all just a small price to pay in this new world of high school football.
Definitely with the mask and definitely the 6 feet apart and everything, but it is different.
Everything they've listed us to do, we're trying to do to the best we can to make sure we save a season.
Especially a season with so much promise under this new regime, starting at the top with Coach Pennick, who led Pascagoula to its first playoff win in school history as a part of a 7-win turnaround in 2019. Just imagine the possibilities at Ocean Springs.
I said it in my press conference back in December. I said, I think it's a sleeping giant. Ocean Springs is a sleeping giant.
Some guys are still sleeping, you know, and so we just got to wake them up, and I feel like we'll be well coached on the field just if we all get aggressive and stuff. I mean, we're not going to be the biggest, but you know how it goes. You never know.
That any given Friday mentality has the Greyhounds coming off back-to-back trips to the postseason, but also back-to-back first-round exits, as well as a losing season in 2019.
Like last year, we were, 5-7, I think. We don't want to do that again. We want to have a winning season.
You know, we're just trying to be great and not good. That's what he preaches every day, and coming out and not be average and just be great every day.
We want to try to be great all the time, be consistent and stuff, and stop just thinking about the coast, but thinking about your Region 3, thinking about statewide, and comparing us to the big picture in 6A rather than just a small focus.
The Greyhounds are admittedly small in size, but they've got plenty enough speed to run their zone read option through either Jack King or Bray Hubbard, who continue to battle it out for the starting quarterback job. They also have a senior class of more than 20 players who simply can't afford to take this COVID-shortened season for granted.
I think you've seen it now since they've made that announcement. I know our team is pumped up through the roof to they feel like there's a goal, there's an end game in there.
I just want to honestly just make it past our first round of playoffs. I mean, our first goal is win district, make it to the playoffs, but I just want to get past, and I think we can make a run.
If you were to genuinely ask someone, hey, what's football? They would most likely give you a facial expression packed with a whole lot of judgment. But if you were to ask that same person, hey, what's 8-man football? You might have them stumped, and that's not to take anything away from a team like Christian Collegiate Academy out of Gulfport, where the Bulldogs say they're playing the same game, except maybe even faster. Stop number 10 on News 25's 25 teams in 25 days.
25 teams in 25 days. Brought to you by Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, your source for COVID-19 supplies and all of your sanitation needs.
Dogs on 3, family on 6. 1, 2, 3, dogs. 4, 5, 6, family.
What is 8-man football?
8-man football is just football. There's a big misnomer out there. People think, well, it's just different. It's really not. If there's anything, it's faster.
Christian Collegiate Academy might break down the huddle with 3 fewer people on each side of the ball, but that doesn't change the name of the game.
It's just football with less people.
Basically, football is still football.
Football is football.
Definitely the same sport, but definitely some glaring differences as well, starting on the offensive line.
Well, in 11-man, there's 5 linemen down, but on 8-man, there's only 3, so there's 2 less people to account for, 4 less to account for.
Not to mention 1 fewer skill position guy and 5 players on the line of scrimmage, as opposed to 7 prior to the snap. On defense, it's a lot of man coverage, and kickoffs have a 15-yard buffer as opposed to 10. Finally, gridiron dimensions are supposed to be 80 by 40 yards, even though the Bulldogs often find themselves playing on the traditional 100 by 53-yard field. All that being said, CCA is still putting in the same work.
People just think it's easier than 11-man football. you work the same either way. If you play football, even 11-man versus 8-man, you still working just as hard.
My friend, he asked me, he was like, how y'all play? I was like, just like 11-man, just like 3 people missing. That's it.
As a part of the Mid-South Association of Independent Schools, CCA is coming off a 4-7 showing in 2019 with a 2-2 mark in Class 1A District 2 games. Perhaps a rebuilding year for the Bulldogs with just 2 seniors on a 15-man roster, or maybe that turnaround is already underway.
We got a good team. We need to work harder. We need to fight harder in practice, and don't give up when we do 1 or 2 things wrong. I feel like that was our biggest loss last year, when we get up upset with ourselves, and then we use that anger and then pretty much just fall apart. I think this year we have a pretty strong team, and we're all like brothers. So I feel like we're going to go places this year.
Our goal is the state championship, but we're not going to get there for looking at the state championship. We just got to take care of business, 1 game at a time.
The Bulldogs are actually just a few years removed from a state title game appearance in 2015 under the watch of former head coach Joe Roberts. Unfortunately, Coach Roberts passed away in April, leaving behind a legacy of passion both on and off the field.
And he was a fierce guy, but deeply loved by these players, and they miss him.
Coach was definitely hard on us, but he was always pushing us to be better men and better people, and he would always remind us of that. So I'm not just playing football to play football, I'm playing it for Coach too.
During the last 4 or so years of the Coach Roberts era, CCA sent at least 1 player off to the next level to play college football. One last simple reminder that as the Bulldogs pride themselves on getting 1% better every day, they're doing so while playing a game that is, in fact, 100% football.
Every day we come out here and work to get 1% better.
Like Greg said, 1% better.
1% better. We have 100 days, that coach say, 100 days. You come out here 1% better, you get 100% better in them 100 days.
I say come out and watch us. Just come out and give us a shot and come look at the game and see it. Come check it out, and you'll be surprised. I think you'll be impressed.
Stop number 18 on News 25's 25 Teams in 25 Days takes us to a brand new field house at Hancock High School. A much needed fresh start for a Hawks team coming off back-to-back 4-7 seasons, but still not too far removed from one of the best runs in program history.
25 Teams in 25 Days, brought to you by Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, your source for COVID-19 supplies and all of your sanitation needs.
Work. Good, good.
Oh, it was like a breath of fresh air, literally and physically. You know, that old stinkhole we had back there was not very good. And then this big facility, we got a much better film room, much better weight room, much bigger locker room. And it feels like we get a lot more done and more efficiently in this better space than we had in the last environment.
10,000 square feet of Hancock football now on the south side of Brett Favre Field, with a little something for everyone on this 2020 Hawks team.
Definitely the film room.
Man, when I seen it was this beauty right here, man, it just sets it up right here.
The weight room is probably where I start everybody's little tour. Even though it is just the front door, it's the main room for me.
Whether or not the new digs can translate into wins on Friday night following 2 straight losing seasons remains to be seen. But of course, every advantage matters in a game of not only yards, but inches.
Each of those games, we was like 5 plays away, 3 plays away from winning, losing the game. That's like the game Gulfport, Harrison Central, St. Martin, we was 3-4 plays away, so we just want to build off that.
Prior to 6A Region 4 play, Hancock actually got off to a perfect 3-0 start, capped off by an epic comeback against Gaucher after trailing the Gators 14-0 at halftime. In the end, the Hawks won that non-district game 28-14, but it felt like they won it all following their emotional tribute to the late Emily Catherine Goss, former Hancock cheer captain, on teal-out night.
We felt like we were the best team on the coast, but things happen, a couple guys go down with injuries, plays don't go our way.
We just felt like at that time we were the best team on the coast, and I do feel like that did kind of really hurt us bad because, you know what I'm saying, they got way high, then we just hit like rock bottom. We had like a 2-month losing streak, so like on that, like we just have to stay even keel.
What followed was a 7-game losing streak for the 2nd year in a row before finally closing out the 2019 season with a much-needed win at West Harrison. Perhaps the first step in changing the flight path back to the winning ways of the program's first-round playoff victory over Brandon as recently as 2017.
We've been a part of these last 3 years, that big playoff run that we had in the last 2 years, kind of down years, and we want to get back to that playoff form in our last year, make the most of it. Maybe get some colleges looking at some of our seniors too.
This senior bunch, they were fortunate. Some of them were moved up and were able to go on that playoff run with us back in 17. They were freshmen that year. And so some of them know and have experienced what it's like to kind of take that journey. And then, you know, the big thing I've told them, moving forward, you got to play every game as if it's senior night. You may not get next week. And they've kind of taken that to heart.
As it turns out, the program's 26 seniors have been wearing their hearts on their sleeves this entire offseason, literally, as a part of Hancock's new motto, commit to the H. The H not only standing for Hancock, but also heart.
The H on the back of our shirts on Fridays during school days it stands for heart. And so that H represents a lot, not just Hancock, but the heart that it takes to play for Hancock.
Everybody on the same team, so we all share the same time, the same H on our jerseys, so we all got to put in the same effort.
Man, it's our time, and we coming. So they're going to feel the H this year, man. They're going to feel the H.